I have been married to my husband for 17 years, and we have 3 sons and 1 daughter. Outsiders say that we are a loving couple who treat each other with respect, but I know that my husband has a white moonlight in his heart. That white moonlight died young, becoming the true moonlight in his heart. So what? I have money and time, and my children are sensible and filial. A dead person can't compete with me. I've always believed that, until one day, I had a dream. I dreamed that my husband's first love was not dead, but was hidden by him in a house in the southern part of the city. My husband found an opportunity to bring his first love into the mansion and elevated her to the status of an equal wife. After she entered the mansion, my eldest son accidentally fell from a horse and became a vegetable. My second son got drunk and drowned in a lake. My third son fell off a cliff and his body was never found. And my most beloved daughter was violated and hanged herself. My children died tragically one after another, and I was overwhelmed with despair, confined to my bed. Before long, I succumbed to depression and passed away. In the 2nd month after my death, he couldn't wait to elevate his beloved to the position of his wife. When I woke from the dream, it was dusk. The orange-red glow spread across the horizon, filtering through the window lattice and scattering onto the bed curtains. The pillow was already soaked, and my heart ached faintly. Dreams and reality blurred together, creating a sense of fragmented unreality. Madam, when you lifted the curtain and entered, "You're awake, have Yaya and the others returned?" I asked. When you said, "The eldest and 3rd young masters have already returned. The 2nd young master is still studying and probably won't be back until after dark. The young lady came to see you earlier, but she left when she saw you were asleep." Upon hearing that all 4 children were safe and sound, my heart gradually calmed down. I told myself it was just a nightmare. Dreams are always the opposite of reality. "Has the Marquis returned?" I asked. Wenju replied, "The Marquis has sent word that he won't be back for dinner tonight and asked you not to wait for him." Madam, in the past, I wouldn't have doubted the truth of Wei Lang's words, but after having that dream, I simply couldn't sit still anymore. In his dreams, Wei Lang would go to that mansion punctually every day at the 3rd quarter of the hour of you. Looking at the time, it was almost there. "Wenju, come with me to the southern part of the city," I said casually. "The Grand Princess's birthday banquet is approaching soon. Let's check on the birthday gifts to ensure there are no mishaps." Wenju had no suspicions. The carriage arrived at the southern part of the city. I had the coachman park the carriage in a secluded corner. After about a quarter of an hour, I indeed saw a familiar figure. That figure was none other than Wei Lang. Wei Lang knocked on the door of the mansion, and a woman with a graceful figure and beautiful face came to greet him personally. The 2 entered the inner courtyard hand in hand. Seeing Wei Lang and his white moonlight together as a pair, a chill enveloped my heart. The events from the dream have come true. Wei Lang indeed hid his white moonlight here. That Liu Qianqian, who had died many years ago, when she was already scared out of his wits, she stammered, Madam, the Marquis, he." I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. "Good, very good indeed. Our Jiang family is a prominent and noble lineage. Although Wei Lang is the Marquis of Anping, by his generation, the Marquis's estate has been reduced to an empty shell. I married down into the Wei family, bore him children, and supported the Marquis's household for him. I worked diligently for 17 years before the Anping Marquis's household gradually regained its former glory, and this is how Wei Lang repays me. I wish I could rush in right now and tear their hypocritical faces to shreds." Okay. Thinking of the tragic state of my 4 children in the dream, I gradually calmed down. Even if it blows up, I would only end up with a reputation for being jealous. It's meaningless, since Wei Lang dares to betray me. I no longer need to consider our marital bond. If we're going to make a scene, let's make it a big one. Chapter 2, The Illicit Lovers. In the dream, Liu Qianqian was brought back to the Marquis mansion by Wei Lang as his savior. The so-called life-saving benefactor is even more ridiculous. It was during their absurd daytime activities that an assassin happened to break into their room. Liu Qianqian screamed in fright, disturbing the assassin, and was stabbed by him. Wei Lang carried the blood-soaked Liu Qianqian back to the Marquis's residence, mobilizing all the resources of the Marquis's household to save her. After Liu Qianqian woke up, Wei Lang declared that she had nearly lost her life to save him, and that the Marquis's household must repay this kindness by elevating her to the status of equal wife. In the dream, I truly regarded Liu Qianqian as my savior, respecting and honoring her in every way. Thinking back, it's truly laughable. When Zhu, seeing me laugh, thought my mental state had deteriorated, she was very worried. "Madam, are you alright?" "I'm fine. Let's return to the estate." When Zhu was quite indignant, "Are we just going back like this? In my opinion, we should barge in and smash that little wench's face." I shook my head. "If we rashly go to expose her, it will only backfire. Just wait, there will be a good show to watch soon." 3 days later. It was the day when an assassin broke into the mansion and startled the illicit lovers. Calculating that the time was about right, I headed to the southern part of the city again. Indeed, dozens of officials dressed in divine turtle uniforms were hurriedly searching for someone. The divine turtle uniform is exclusive to the Imperial City's Shunwu Guard. It is definitely no minor case that could alarm the Shunwu Guard. Honorable officers, what has happened? I lifted the carriage curtain. Feigning a look of terror, the divine martial guards recognized the carriage of the Marquis of Anping. The leading official stepped forward and saluted. "Li Liang of the Divine Martial Guards pays respects to the Lady of the Marquis of Anping. The Divine Martial Guards are handling a case. For your safety, please leave quickly." My hand trembled, and my voice quivered. "I just saw a man dressed in black with a black cloth covering his face. I don't know if he is the person you are looking for." Official Li was overjoyed. "My lady, you've seen him." I pointed at the mansion not far away. "I saw him flee into that mansion." Li Ganban turned and ordered, "Investigate immediately." A moment later, the Divine Martial Guard who went to investigate returned. "Sir, we found bloodstains on the courtyard wall of the mansion. The assassin is severely injured and can't have gone far. It's highly likely he's hiding inside the mansion." "Madam, you have been a great help." Clark Lee gratefully clasped his hands in salute. "The assassin is extremely vicious, so please leave quickly." I nodded and said, "Clark Lee, go ahead and capture the assassin. I will lead the nearby residents to evacuate." Clark Lee clasped his hands in salute again. "I am in your debt, madam," I said to Wenju and Wenlan. "Find a safe place and scatter the money." Wenju was clever and knew what I intended to do. Excitedly, she pulled Wenlan along to scatter the money. The crowd rushed forward in a frenzy. The Divine Martial Guard is handling official business. Blades and swords have no eyes, so I urge everyone to leave with us quickly. Wenju said, "The Anping Marquis residence will take you to a safe place." The crowd followed the carriage at a distance. Neither too close nor too far. "Madam, it's the young servant from the Marquis's side." Wenju pointed in a direction and suddenly exclaimed. I exclaimed in surprise. Wenju, quickly, go ask him if the Marquis is also nearby. Right away, the clever little Wenju ran over. Upon seeing Wenju, the servant's face visibly turned pale. At this very moment, a scream came from inside the mansion. "Marquis." The servant was terrified and quickly ran toward the house. "The Marquis is in that mansion." I was shocked. "Quick, turn around." The carriage sped quickly towards the mansion. By the time I hurriedly arrived, the assassin had already been captured. Officer Lee, while I was leading the people to evacuate, I saw my husband's servant. The servant said the Marquis is in this mansion. Was the Marquis affected by this? Officer Lee's expression was extremely unpleasant. The expressions on the faces of the Divine Martial Guards varied. "Ah, look at the bed, that woman isn't wearing any clothes. What are the two of them doing in broad daylight?" Chapter 3, Confrontation. When I panicked and rushed to the mansion, some bold commoners followed along. The Divine Martial Guards are well trained and do not speak out of turn. These commoners, however, have no inhibitions and speak bluntly, in full view of everyone. Liu Qianqian and Wei Lang were still in bed. They were greatly frightened. Because Liu Qianqian was injured, she didn't even have time to cover her back. Liu Qianxian, completely naked, was exposed in front of the divine martial guards and the common people. Marquis, I staggered back 2 steps. You, what are you doing here? You all, what are you doing? Fut, overwhelmed with rage, I staggered and passed out with my eyes rolling back. I fainted, but I was faking it. The 2 maids, Wen Zhu and Wen Lan, supported me on either side, continuously calling out madam. The commoners spoke one after another, their words growing increasingly unpleasant. The situation was already out of control. Before long, the romantic affairs of the Marquis of Anping would surely spread throughout the capital. I think the timing is about right. It's time to leave. So I secretly gave Wen Zhu a pinch, back in the carriage. Wen Zhu and Wen Lan were still seething with anger, especially Wen Lan. Only then did she learn that Wei Lang had done such a disgraceful thing. And she was so furious that she clamored to go scratch that woman's face. What's the point of scratching her face? I slowly opened my eyes. Are you just going to let her off like that? Let her off. I looked at my well-maintained hands. How dare that despicable couple lay a hand on my children? How could I possibly let them get away with it? However, it's not worth dirtying these meticulously maintained hands of mine for someone who is already doomed to die. The dead should stay in their coffins, I said with a smile. As for Wei Lang, my world only has widows. That night, Wei Lang stormed into my room angrily. Jiang Wn. Did you do it on purpose? Did you deliberately lead the divine martial guards to that house? Did you do it to make me look foolish? Are you happy now that I've been humiliated? My heart sank little by little. 17 years of marriage, hidden for 17 years, with just one move. His true nature was revealed. Wei Lang, I interrupted him coldly. What ability do I have to command the divine martial guard? Not only can I not, but even you, Marquis, cannot. The divine martial guard belongs exclusively to the royal family. Please do not speak recklessly, Marquis. Wei Lang was left speechless. His gaze at me was as if laced with potent poison. You still try to deny it. I've heard it was you who led the divine martial guards to the residence. Yes, it was me. I did not deny it. I saw with my own eyes that the assassin hid in that residence. What is wrong with me informing the divine martial guards of the assassin's whereabouts? The assassin who could be captured by the divine martial guard is certainly no small figure. As the wife of the Marquis of Anping, and with a noble title bestowed by the court, I receive the Emperor's salary. If I do not share the Emperor's worries, that would be a grave fault. Moreover, how could I have known that the Marquis would be in that house? How could I have known that the Marquis would engage in such disgraceful behavior with that woman in broad daylight? And how could I have known that the assassin would break into your room? If the Marquis fancies any woman, he only needs to inform me, and I would not stop him from taking a concubine. But what has the Marquis done? Engaging in illicit affairs with an unofficial consort, and being caught red-handed by the divine martial guard while handling a case. It is you who has done the shameful deeds. It is you who has been disgraced. Instead of blaming yourself, how dare you point fingers at me? Wei Lang's face turned livid with anger. He pointed at me, fuming for a long time, yet couldn't manage to utter a single word in retort. The divine martial guard is handling a case. Why were you at that residence? And why were you leading a group of commoners? Don't tell me this is also a coincidence. I cast a mocking glance at Wei Lang. Perhaps the Marquis should ask the servant by your side. Chapter 4. Kicked out. Wei Lang was furious. He firmly believed that I had done it on purpose and wanted to find my flaw. He immediately turned around and went out, kicking the servant on the shoulder. You speak. The servant trembled like a sieve. Reporting to the Marquis, I ran into the madam on the way. She was very surprised to see me and asked about your whereabouts. I didn't want to say anything at first, but then a scream came from the mansion. I panicked and instinctively called out Marquis. The madam turned pale with fright, fearing that the assassin who had broken into the mansion might harm you. So she followed me inside. The servant's voice grew softer and softer. And those commoners, what were they making a fuss about? Wei Lang asked again. The servant lowered his head. It's the lady who is evacuating the commoners. They thought the Marquis was in danger. So they followed. Wei Lang, agitated and irritable, kicked the servant to the ground. He paced back and forth in the courtyard, his face as dark as an inkstone. "Madam," Wenju said nervously, "why hasn't the Marquis left yet? Has he discovered something?" I lazily tugged at the corner of the blanket. What could he possibly discover? He would discover nothing except for his own frustration. He's not leaving because he needs a favor from me. Liu Qianqian is severely injured, and ordinary doctors cannot treat her. To save Liu Qianqian's life, an imperial physician is needed. Imperial physicians hold the 6th rank and only treat the royal family and nobles. As a mistress, and one who has been publicly shamed throughout the entire capital, which imperial physician would dare to take her case? Wei Lang needs my cooperation to save Liu Qianqian. As expected, Wei Lang paced in the courtyard for a long time before finally coming inside. Qianqian is severely injured and her life is hanging by a thread. She needs an imperial physician. And then, I remained unmoved, picked up the teacup, and took a light sip. You can request the imperial physician in the name of your illness. As long as you cover your face, the physician won't know who you are, and you can just pretend. Bang! Furious, I threw the teacup to the ground. The teacup shattered into pieces, and the maids and elderly servants in the room knelt all over the floor. Wei Lang, do you even hear what you're saying? A mistress who seduces men in broad daylight, causing a scandal that everyone knows about, and you want me to impersonate her? I, the esteemed Lady of Armping, a first-rank titled noblewoman, you want some shady, disreputable creature to impersonate me? Wei Lang, are you looking down on me, or are you looking down on the Jiang family? Wei Lang seemed not to expect me to be so resistant. He frowned and said, "Stop trying to scare me with that. It's just a small effort, yet you refuse to save someone in dire need. How can you be so heartless?" I was so angry at Wei Lang that I laughed. What a fine example of refusing to save someone in dire need. What a vicious person. After 17 years of marriage, only now have I truly seen how heartless and ungrateful the person before me is. Countless people in the capital fall seriously ill every day. Why haven't I seen the Marquis request imperial physicians for the common people? If the Marquis doesn't seek imperial physicians for them, does that mean he's also turning a blind eye to those in desperate straits? You, Wei Lang angrily flicked his sleeve, utterly unreasonable. I sneered, "Your lordship should know the rules of the imperial physicians. They are exclusively for treating the royal family and nobility. If an imperial physician were to treat your lowly mistress, it would be degrading their status and slapping the faces of the royal family and nobility. Moreover, the imperial physicians record in their books whom they treat and how. I'd like to ask you, how dare you conceal such a thing? The divine martial guards witnessed today's events. Do you still think you can cover it up? Aren't you afraid of being charged with deceiving the emperor? Aren't you afraid of bringing ruin to the entire Armping Marquis estate?" Every word I spoke struck Wei Lang's sore spots. Wei Lang's face turned red, then black, then white, which was quite amusing. "I'm tired. Wenju, see the Marquis out." I gave the order to see him off. Wenju was very disappointed with Wei Lang. She picked up a broom. "Marquis, please step aside. This servant needs to sweep the floor. Your lordship, please step aside a bit more. I need to sweep this area as well." Wei Lang was kicked out. Chapter 5. Methods. The next day, I had a good appetite and drank an extra bowl of porridge for breakfast. After finishing breakfast, I took a stroll in the courtyard to aid digestion. Wenju spotted Wei Lang approaching from afar and hurried to grab a broom. "Madam, the Marquis is here again. Shall I sweep him out once more?" "No need," I said with a smile, stopping her. "I've been waiting for him." Wei Lang looked as if he hadn't slept all night. His eyes were dark and sunken, his stubble had grown out, and he looked haggard and thinner. Perhaps having calmed down, there was a hint of guilt in his eyes as he looked at me. I ignored him and turned to leave. "I want to take a concubine," Wei Lang said, seeing my cold attitude. The trace of guilt vanished completely, and he got straight to the point. "Oh, that's a happy occasion. Congratulations," I said absent-mindedly. "Aren't you going to ask who I'm taking as my concubine?" Wei Lang was dissatisfied with my reaction. I smiled faintly. "It certainly won't be the one you've been hiding in your residence." I had hit the mark. Wei Lang looked somewhat uncomfortable. "I want to invite Miss Xiangning from the Moon Embracing Tower." I nodded to show that I understood. Wei Lang's decision was within my expectations. Yesterday, everyone only saw Liu Qianqian's back, not her face. Wei Lang's most reliable solution was to find the renowned courtesan from Lanyu Tower to replace Liu Qianqian. When Lan, have someone prepare a courtyard to welcome the new concubine. When Lan responded reluctantly, is there anything else? Marquis, seeing that Wei Lang wasn't leaving. A hint of impatience flashed in my eyes. Wei Lang hesitated a little, involving Liu Qianqian's life and death. He still shamelessly said, Qianqian will enter the mansion as my cousin. I have already taken care of the connections, and the imperial physician has also examined Qianqian. The imperial physician could only preserve Qianqian's life force, but to save her life, 1,000-year-old ginseng is needed. I remember you have one here. Does the Marquis mean that I should give the 1,000-year-old ginseng to her? I looked at Wei Lang. Wei Lang's eyes flickered. Anyway, it's useless to keep it with you. The 1,000-year ginseng is my dowry. Are you, Marquis, using my dowry to save your mistress? I laughed. You really are, exceptionally thick-skinned. Wei Lang was irritated by my jab. At most, I'll exchange it for silver. Jiang Wn. I advise you not to push your luck. The 1,000-year ginseng is priceless. I interrupted him. 30,000 taels of silver. Once you've gathered the sum, come find me to collect the ginseng. You know my temper. If you keep whining, I'll throw it straight into the manure bucket. Wenju, let's go back to the room. Wei Lang was furious, but in the end, he said nothing and stormed off, his sleeves flapping. Wenju's eyes reddened. Madam, the Marquis wasn't like this before. What kind of bewitching potion has that woman given him? I was just hiding it well before. And after being exposed, I couldn't be bothered to hide it anymore. I reassured Wenju. There's no need to be so angry, it's not worth it. But that was 1,000-year-old ginseng, part of your dowry. Spending 30,000 taels of silver on 100-year-old ginseng, I didn't lose out. I said with a laugh. Liu Qianqian was indeed severely injured, but not to the extent of needing 1,000-year ginseng to save a life. 100-year ginseng is sufficient. Even if I don't give them the 1,000-year ginseng, the imperial physician will inform them that 100-year ginseng can also save a life. 30,000 taels of silver is almost all the money Wei Lang spent on Liu Qianqian, using a century-old ginseng to make them obediently cough up this money. I'm not at a loss. The news that Fragrant Ning, the top courtesan of Moon-embracing Pavilion, had been taken as a concubine by the Marquis of Anping quickly spread. The common people instinctively assumed the courtesan was the woman in the mansion. The Marquis of Anping's scandal turned into a romantic legend. From beginning to end, no one mentioned Liu Qianqian. She was extremely well protected. When Wenju told me the news he had gathered, he was indignant. I sipped my tea slowly and deliberately. Stay calm. I said, this outcome was within my expectations. Wei Lang is not foolish. A small affair of catching an adulterer cannot bring him down. Chapter 6, the birthday banquet. Even if the matter of the mistress were to blow up, it would still be nothing more than a family affair. A few mocking words from outsiders are nothing but a scratch to someone as thick-skinned as Wei Lang. Even, Wei Lang also knows that I will not let this matter spread. After all, if the Anping Marquis's household loses face, the Jiang family, along with me and the children, will also lose face. The Jiang family values reputation, and my children are almost at the age of marriage. I absolutely will not let a scandal affect them. Wei Lang was fearless. I found it quite ridiculous. Wei Lang probably didn't know that Liu Qianqian wasn't as gentle and understanding as she appeared on the surface. Her ambitions were immense. It's a pity that Liu Qianqian's ambitions do not match her status. To climb higher, she needs to find a powerful backer. The backer Liu Qianqian has her eyes on is the eldest princess. The eldest princess is the biological elder sister of the current emperor. During the fierce battle for the throne, amidst the chaos, the eldest princess took a knife for the emperor. The emperor seized the opportunity to kill the rebel leader and successfully ascended to the throne. However, the eldest princess fell into a coma, and the imperial physicians diagnosed that she would never wake up again. 3 years later, the eldest princess miraculously regained consciousness. The emperor was overjoyed and issued a general amnesty. Because of this, The Grand Princess held an exceptional status. With the Grand Princess as her backing, she could summon the wind and command the rain. In the dream, Liu Qianqian, under the protection of the Grand Princess, managed to escape unscathed after harming my children. The tragic state of Yaroa and the others appeared before my eyes. My throat felt as if it were being choked, waves of pain and suffocation washing over me. My face turned deathly pale, and I couldn't catch my breath. Madam, Wenju was startled. What's wrong with you? The sound of bamboo breaking dispelled the suffocating feeling. I took a few deep breaths and said, I was thinking about some unpleasant things. I paused for a moment, invite Yaroa and the others to join me for the meal. In the evening, the 4 children gathered around me, chattering excitedly about the interesting things that had happened over the past few days. The feeling of suffocation was gradually replaced by a sense of fulfillment. I secretly vowed that even if it cost me my life, I would not let Liu Qianqian climb the social ladder by attaching herself to the princess. The princess's birthday banquet was drawing closer. Wei Lang came to find me. It's been so many days since we last met. The first thing he said upon seeing me was, for the Grand Princess's birthday banquet, take Qianqian along to broaden her horizons. I was looking through the account books and didn't even lift my eyes. As your cousin, naturally, no way, I'm not bringing just any Tom, Dick, or Harry to the banquet. Wei Lang was angered by my attitude. Jiang Wn, do you have to speak like that? How am I speaking? I sneered coldly. The Grand Princess's 50th birthday celebration is an extremely grand affair. Only members of the royal family, nobility, and those with great achievements are invited. A minor household like our Anping Marquis residence is barely at the bottom of the list. At the birthday banquet, you cannot take a single wrong step or utter a single wrong word. You know very well what Liu Qianqian's status is. If she causes trouble, it won't just ruin her, but also the Anping Marquis estate. Wei Lang didn't take it seriously. You're using such a high-sounding excuse again. Qianqian is so well behaved, she won't cause any trouble. You just need to keep a close eye on her. Slap. I slammed the ledger heavily onto the table. Wei Lang, for the sake of our marriage and our 4 children, I'm warning you, Liu Qianqian is not a woman who knows her place. She has ulterior motives for attending the princess's birthday banquet. The princess holds a unique position of power. Be careful not to invite a wolf into your house and bring about your own ruin. Wei Lang was furious. Jiang Wn, gossiping behind someone's back, is this the upbringing of your Jiang family? I looked at Wei Lang's furious expression and shook my head. Heaven's wrath can still be forgiven, but man's self-wrought destruction is beyond redemption. Wei Lang, give up on this idea. I will never bring Liu Qianqian to the banquet. I've said all I have to say. You'd better take care of yourself. When Zhu, see the Marquis out, Chapter 7, causing trouble. When Zhu, who had long prepared a broom, once again swept Wei Lang out the door, when Lan was just returning from outside and came face to face with Wei Lang. Madam, you didn't see it. But the Marquis's face was as dark as the bottom of a pot. When Lan said, did he come to argue with you again? When Zhu angrily waved the broom. The Marquis wanted the lady to bring that vixen from outside to the banquet, but the lady refused. He flew into a rage out of humiliation and vented all his anger on her. When Lan, the Marquis must have been blinded by lard. When Zhu spat in disgust. Don't insult the lard. Lard doesn't deserve to take the blame for this. I'd say he's been blinded by dung, if anything. When Lan wholeheartedly agreed, I chuckled. Don't mention him. When Lan, how is the task I asked you to handle going? When Lan patted her chest reassuringly, don't worry, madam, it's already taken care of. I nodded, picked up the bird's nest soup on the table, and savored it slowly. When Zhu sighed and complained, saying I was too carefree to have the mood for bird's nest soup at a time like this, I am very confused. What conflict is there between Liu Qianqian and Wei Lang rushing to their deaths and me eating bird's nest? They do their thing, I eat mine. We don't interfere with each other. When Zhu was dumbfounded after hearing my explanation, for a long while, she couldn't utter a single word, and simply picked up the broom to silently sweep the floor. Soon, it was time for the Grand Princess's birthday banquet, as expected. I saw Liu Qianqian's figure at the banquet. I don't know what means Wei Lang used to get Liu Qianqian in. Liu Qianqian stood at the very end of the line of female relatives. Her eyes constantly darting around and her body habitually fidgeting. When it comes to subtle flirtations, Liu Qianqian's little gestures might indeed evoke a man's affection. However, at an occasion like the Grand Princess's birthday banquet, her behavior appeared rather unrefined and out of place among the dignified noblewomen who strictly adhered to etiquette. I let out a soft sigh. It seems that Wei Lang didn't take a single word of my advice to heart. In the dream, after Princess Wenyu, the granddaughter of the Grand Princess, fell into the water, Liu Qianqian jumped into the lake to save her despite the cold weather and deep water. Fortunately, Liu Qianqian rescued her in time, and the young princess's life was not in danger. However, Liu Qianqian, who was already injured, had her wound torn open and was now in critical condition. The princess learned that Liu Qianqian's injury was sustained while saving Wei Lang, which reminded her of her own experience of taking a knife for the emperor, making her even more sympathetic toward Liu. In this way, Liu Qianqian became the princess's savior and honored guest, taking advantage of the princess's protection to do as she pleased, and Wei Lang's status rose accordingly. Liu Qianqian's act of jumping into the lake to save someone was actually full of suspicious points, with countless servants around the young lady and the banquet being far from Longevity Lake. How could she have fallen into the water for no reason? And how did Liu Qianqian arrive just in time? Having grown up in a deep mansion, I have some understanding of the tactics used by women in the inner courtyards. Liu Qianqian's methods are far from subtle. This kind of unconventional strategy that harms others to benefit oneself can be deadly when it backfires. Today, if Liu Qianqian doesn't cause any trouble, it will be fine. If Liu Qianqian causes trouble, then that would be great. After the banquet, a group of people accompanied the princess to watch the opera. This opera tells a story about how good deeds are rewarded and evil deeds are punished, illustrating the principle of cosmic retribution. The story is too cliched, however, the princess loves to listen to it, and on every festival, she always invites the opera troupe to perform it. If it were any other time, I would have been bored to sleep, but today, it sounded particularly delightful. Wenju quietly leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Madam, Liu Qianqian has left her seat." Oh, I acknowledged it and continued to listen to the opera attentively. Wenju was frantic. "My dear lady, how can you still be in the mood to listen to the opera? That wretched girl left her seat. She might be up to some mischief. This is the princess's birthday banquet. If she causes any trouble, stay calm." I patted Wenju's hand. "If Liu Qianqian doesn't stir up any trouble, wouldn't this trip of mine be in vain? She's causing trouble, so I get to watch a good show." Chapter 8. Watching the show, Wenju was still very anxious. Wenlan said mysteriously, "The madam is a brilliant strategist and has already made arrangements. We just need to wait and watch the show." At this moment, on stage, the play was reaching the thrilling part where the villain gets their just desserts. The eldest princess loved this part the most. She led the applause with a cry of bravo, and ordered rewards to be given. The noble women in the audience followed suit, showering the stage with gold and silver ingots. I was different. I directly rewarded her with a stack of silver notes. The Grand Princess and the other noble ladies were all stunned by my simple and unadorned reward. May the sun and moon shine brightly, and the pines and cranes live long. The sun, moon, pines, and cranes on the silver notes are a perfect match for you, the esteemed elder, I said with a smile. Emphasizing sincerity, the Grand Princess clapped her hands and said, "This is excellent." She smiled at the noblewomen and said, "It seems we've been too vulgar." Seeing the princess in high spirits, the noblewomen chimed in, each taking out banknotes to give as rewards. When the opera ended, the stage was already covered with scattered banknotes. Under the sunlight, the sun, moon, pine, and crane designs on the banknotes shimmered brilliantly. The noble women took the opportunity to recite many birthday poems, delighting the princess and making her overjoyed. The scene was lively and bustling. In the distance, a clamor could be heard. The princess was in high spirits and did not take offense at the disturbance. She said to the crowd, "It seems there's something lively happening over there. Let's go and take a look." The noble women accompanied the princess. The group departed in a grand procession after most of the crowd had left. I leisurely wrapped a few pieces of pastry in a handkerchief when she was almost frantic with anxiety. "Madam, how can you be so completely unruffled? Stay calm," I reassured Wenju. "We're here to watch the show, not to perform in it. Watching a show, after all. It's much more enjoyable when you have a good stool to sit on and bring along some melon seeds and snacks. Moreover, the stage has long been set. As a player in this drama, Liu Qianqian cannot escape unscathed. Even if she doesn't lose her life, she will surely be stripped of a layer of skin." Seeing that the Grand Princess and her entourage had already moved far ahead, I quickened my pace, striving to be a good little follower. By the lakeside, a crowd had already gathered. The little princess, who had just turned 3, was held in the arms of a tall, handsome man with a face as fair as jade. The imperial physician was taking the little princess's pulse. The little princess seemed frightened. Trembling and curled up in the man's arms, both of them were completely drenched. "Elegance, little ninth," the Grand Princess exclaimed in shock. "Why are you both soaked?" "Grand Princess," the wet nurse of Princess Wenyo wept bitterly. "This servant deserves death. This servant deserves death. This servant failed to take good care of the princess, allowing her to fall into the lake. Fortunately, the 9th prince saved the princess. If not, this servant deserves 10,000 deaths. Please punish this servant, Grand Princess." The Grand Princess's face turned deathly pale. Their son and daughter-in-law died on the battlefield, and when YA is the only bloodline they left in this world, the pain of the white-haired sending off the black-haired made her wish she were dead. It is when YA's existence that forces her to keep on living. When YA is her only solace, she cherishes when YA as dearly as her own eyes. If something happens to Wenyo, the princess felt her vision go black. She was furious. "Guards, take this wretched maid out and beat her to death." The nanny lay prostrate on the ground, closing her eyes in despair. "Aunt," the 9th prince said gravely, "this matter has nothing to do with the wet nurse. Duke, please explain how this matter unfolded." The Duke referred to is the Duke of Zhen, who is my father. My father has always been known for his integrity and impartiality. The Grand Princess may doubt anyone, but she would never doubt my father's words. "Duke of Zhen, you tell it, word for word, exactly as it happened." "Yes," the Duke of Zhen bowed with his hands clasped. "We were admiring the flowers on the opposite shore of the lake when we saw a woman push Princess Wenyo into the water and then jump in after her. It's just that the woman fell into the lake at a spot quite far from Lady Wenyo. Lady Wenyo had already sunk into the water and was in critical danger. Fortunately, the 9th prince promptly jumped into the lake to rescue her, and Lady Wenyo narrowly escaped disaster." Chapter 9, The Scheme, Bring Her Up. The Duke of Zhanghua ordered someone to bring the thoroughly drenched Liu Qianqian forward. "Your Highness, the princess, this is the person." Liu Qianqian trembled with fear. Her face was deathly pale, with disheveled hair, looking utterly disgraced. She seemed to be frightened, her body going limp as she knelt down. "I've been wronged, Your Highness the Grand Princess. This commoner has been wronged." This commoner did not push the young princess. The young princess was being mischievous and went toward the lake. In a moment of urgency, I pulled her back. I failed to hold on to the young princess. After she fell into the water, I immediately jumped into the lake after her. I only wanted to save her, never to harm anyone. "I beg Your Highness to see the truth clearly." The wet nurse widened her eyes upon seeing Liu Qianqian. "Your Highness, it was her. She was the one who sent me away. Having grown up in the Deep Palace, the princess had witnessed countless schemes. As shrewd as she is, she had already guessed Liu Qianqian's intentions. This woman truly pushed Wenyo into the lake, and she truly jumped into the lake to save Wenyo. Her desire to become Wenyo's savior is even more genuine. Many people have schemed against her, but using elegance to plot against her was a first. The princess was moved to kill. Since you want to save people, then let you save to your heart's content. Guards, kick her into the lake, and don't pull her out until she's nearly drowned. No one is to stop without my command." 2 burly women approached Liu Qianqian, one on each side. "Spare my life." Your Highness the eldest princess, Your Highness the eldest princess, please see the truth. I am innocent. With a splash, Liu Qianqian was kicked into the lake. When Liu Qianqian could no longer struggle, the women pulled her up again. After several such times, Liu Qianqian was already breathing more out than in. Wei Lang's face was darker than before. He glared at me sharply and mouthed the words, urging me to plead for mercy. Hilarious. I've waited so long for this drama to unfold, and I haven't even had my fill of it yet. Why on earth would I plead for mercy? Right in front of Wei Lang, I took a piece of pastry from my handkerchief, slowly placed it in my mouth, and savored it with great delight. Wei Lang was so furious he nearly coughed up blood, wishing he could flay me alive with his glare, when Lan, being tall, subtly blocked Wei Lang's line of sight. Wenju was seething with anger. In a voice only the two of us could hear, she cursed, "The Marquis must have had his heart smeared with dung, that Vixen has committed such a grave mistake." Yet the Marquis actually had his wife plead for mercy on her behalf. "Pa, it would be best if the princess swiftly executed that little Vixen." I couldn't help but laugh. Wenju is perfect in every way, except for being too hot-tempered. Liu Qianqian won't die, I said calmly. First, Princess Wenyo was not seriously injured, and the Grand Princess was merely enraged. There was no need to resort to killing. Second, Liu Qianqian stubbornly refused to admit her guilt. Third, since everyone was at a distance, Wei Lang would likely use the excuse of misseeing to defend Liu Qianqian. As a result, the Grand Princess was unable to convict Liu Qianqian. Unable to convict, there is naturally no reason to kill, as expected. Seeing that Liu Qianqian could no longer bear it, Wei Lang had no choice but to step forward. "Your Highness, there may be some misunderstanding in this matter. Qianqian is still severely injured and hasn't recovered. How could she possibly harm the young princess? We were quite far away at the time, so it's possible we might have misseen. Today is Your Highness the eldest princess's birthday. If someone were to lose their life, how inauspicious would that be? Anyway, the young princess is unharmed. I beg you to be merciful and spare her life." The eldest princess cast a cold glance at Wei Lang. "What is she to you?" Wei Lang felt guilty. "Qianqian is my cousin." He knelt down and kowtowed heavily several times. "The matter has not been clarified yet, so I beg Your Highness to be lenient. Are you saying that I am slandering her?" Wei Lang felt as if needles were pricking his back. "I dare not. I just feel that convicting someone based solely on one-sided testimony is somewhat biased." As soon as Wei Lang said this, the surroundings suddenly fell silent. The princess stared at Wei Lang for a long moment before finally laughing in anger. "Fine, what a one-sided testimony indeed. What a biased statement. Duke of Zhen, do you also think so?" My father, being called upon, instinctively glanced at me. Chapter 10, Slap. When my father looked at me, I was eating the last piece of pastry. After eating slowly and deliberately, I wiped my mouth and prepared to give my father a hint. Before I could finish wiping, my father, as if reading my mind, gave me an expression that said, "I understand, Your Highness. The truth of the matter is now clear. The health of Princess Wenyo and the 9th Prince is of utmost importance." My father's words may seem ordinary, but they carry great weight. At this point, everyone knows the truth of the matter. However, Liu Qianqian insists on not admitting guilt, and with the witness being quite far away, it's somewhat difficult to handle. This matter also involves the 9th Prince. The palace is a deep and treacherous place. Even the slightest disturbance can cause widespread panic. If things escalate further, I fear it might bring other matters to light. The Grand Princess was sharp-witted and quickly grasped the situation. Liu Qianqian's death was no great loss. If Liu Qianqian's death affects Wen Ya and the 9th Prince, then it's not worth it. Take your cousin and get out. Don't let me see her again, the princess commanded sharply. Wei Lang breathed a sigh of relief, expressed his gratitude, and left with the barely conscious Liu Qianqian. The crowd gradually dispersed. Far away, my father gave me a wide grin. This smile, I know it well. Usually, when my father is trying to claim credit from my mother, he wears this kind of wide grin. I really couldn't figure out how my father managed to deduce all this from my simple act of wiping my mouth. On the way back to the residence, Wenju expressed great regret. What a pity. That wretched woman managed to escape with her life. Everything went as expected, so I didn't feel it was a pity. Wei Lang and I are still husband and wife. And the Jiang family and the Anping Marquis estate share both glory and disgrace. It's really blown up, hurting the enemy 1,000 while damaging ourselves 800. Not worth it. Liu Qianqian and Wei Lang have completely lost the support of the Grand Princess. This is enough. I had just returned to the mansion. Wei Lang stormed in right after me. Jiang Wn, are you satisfied now? Qianqian has been tortured to the brink of death, barely clinging to life. Are you happy now? I looked at Wei Lang as if he were a fool. What am I satisfied with? What am I happy about? What does it have to do with me? Wei Lang gritted his teeth. You really are a venomous woman. If you had kept an eye on Qianqian, how could she have run off? If your father hadn't come forward to testify, how could Qianqian have been slandered? And how could the princess have punished her? Don't think I don't know what you and your father are scheming. Jiang Wn, I'm warning you, if anything happens to Qianqian, I'll slap. My palm landed heavily on Wei Lang's face. 5 finger marks were clearly visible. Have you said enough? I snapped sharply. Wei Lang, before we went to the banquet, I warned you that Liu Qianqian is not a well-behaved person. Did you listen? Not only did you not listen, but you also went out of your way to bring her to the birthday banquet. Wei Lang, search your conscience. If she were just here to gain experience by attending the birthday banquet, why would Liu Qianqian rush around in front of everyone? Don't give me that nonsense about her getting lost. With so many people coming and going at the birthday banquet, Liu Qianqian couldn't possibly have wandered off near Longevity Lake. Anyone with half a brain could see what she was planning. Liu Qianqian nearly caused a disaster. How dare you point fingers at me? What right do you have to blame me? And how dare you bring up my father? If it weren't for him stepping in, both you and Liu Qianqian would have been lucky to escape with your lives. If you dare to take responsibility for your actions, Wei Lang, I might still respect you as a man. You dare to act but not own up to it, and even attempt to shift the blame onto me. You truly disgust me. Wei Lang was stunned by my blow. He had never imagined that I would lay a hand on him. He just stared at me, gritting his teeth. Jiang Wn, how dare you hit me? Aren't you afraid I'll divorce you? Chapter 11. He's not worthy. I laughed. Divorce me. He is not worthy. Wei Lang, listen carefully. In my world, there is only death or widowhood. I said this with utmost seriousness. But Wei Lang dismissed it with contempt. He knew he was in the wrong but refused to admit his mistake, so he seized the opportunity to throw a huge tantrum. Like a madman, he smashed everything in my room that could be broken. I have never been one to take things lying down. I usually settle scores on the spot. I took Wenju and the others with me and smashed Wei Lang's study to pieces. After smashing everything, I set it on fire. By the time Wei Lang rushed over, the fire was already beyond control. All the rare books, calligraphy, paintings, and various documents in the study were destroyed, leaving nothing behind. Wei Lang was almost driven mad with anger, shouting at me. I was extremely happy watching Wei Lang's helpless rage. Whoever makes me unhappy, I'll make them unhappy. Indeed, he's unhappy. So I'm happy. Wei Lang, I provoked him. You wrecked my room, so I burned your study. You destroy one part of me, I'll return tenfold. Whatever tricks you have, bring them on. Wei Lang saw my eye for an eye nature and actually backed down. On top of that, Liu Qianqian's wound reopened, and her high fever persisted. Wei Lang was busy taking care of her and had no energy to fight with me. Life became briefly peaceful. I knew that this peace was merely the calm before the storm. The autumn hunt is approaching. In my dream, my YAR fell from his horse during the autumn hunt and became comatose, turning into a vegetative state. YAR is skilled in riding and archery. His beloved horse, Fengkai, is the most well-behaved and gentle. If no one had tampered with anything, he wouldn't have made such a basic mistake as falling off a horse. At the moment, Liu Qianqian has her own troubles to deal with, so Yaoa should be able to avoid this disaster. I thought this, but I still felt uncertain in my heart. On the day of the autumn hunt, early in the morning, I felt restless and kept sending people to inquire about the news. Just after noon, Wen Lan, who had gone to inquire about the news, hurried back. Something's wrong, something's happened. Wen Lan ran until she was out of breath. Madam, something has happened. My heart skipped a beat. Is it Yarrow? Has something happened to him? No, no, no. Wen Lan waved her hands. It's not the young master who's in trouble, it's the young master's horse. The young master's horse was fine at first, but around noon, it suddenly went mad. Dozens of guards couldn't control it. And it didn't stop until it crashed headfirst and died. Fortunately, the eldest young master did not ride that horse. If he had ridden that horse, Wen Lan said with lingering fear, I breathed a sigh of relief. A few days ago, I had Wen Lan find an extremely rare Fergana horse. That Fergana horse had been meticulously cared for outside. Until the autumn hunt began, I had someone give that horse to Yarrow. Yarrow changed horses at the last minute and narrowly escaped disaster. Investigate. I want to see who dares to harm my Yarrow. This case is not difficult to investigate. Soon, I had sorted out the whole story. After reaching a conclusion, I felt as if I had fallen into an ice cellar, my entire body turning cold. I had always thought that the incident of Yarrow falling from the horse in the dream was orchestrated by Liu Qianqian. In my dream, I was drowning in sorrow and rage, overlooking many details. Only now, upon careful investigation, have I come to realize that the one who truly harmed Yarrow was none other than Yarrow's own biological father, Wei Lang. Wei Lang wants to get rid of Yarrow, wants to get rid of his own son. When Zhu's eyes were red, how could he be so heartless? How dare he take revenge on Madam in this way? I shook my head. No, Wei Lang would never kill Yarrow just to spite me. Wei Lang must have some ulterior motive for targeting Yarrow. Bring Yarrow here. I steadied myself and said, Yarrow was clearly frightened. When you come to my room, your face is still pale. Mother, kneel down, I commanded. Yarrow was stunned for a moment, then knelt down with a thud. Chapter 12, Embezzlement. I gave Wen Zhu and Wen Lan a meaningful look. Wen Zhu and Wen Lan closed the door securely and stood guard outside. My voice was icy cold. Yarrow, confess honestly, have you offended someone outside? Yarrow lifted his face. Mother, I have always remembered your teachings and never caused trouble outside. Then do you know who harmed you? Yarrow's face turned even paler. He had personally witnessed Foam Kai's death. If his mother hadn't gifted him an extremely rare Fergana horse, and he hadn't chosen to ride it out of novelty instead of Foam Kai for the autumn hunt, it wasn't just Foam Kai who died, but him as well. I don't know. Yarrow, have you said anything to your father recently? I asked. Yarrow avoided my gaze. No, are you still going to hide it from me? Yarrow, seeing my anger, Yarrow dared not conceal anything any longer and lowered his head, saying, Father has been bewitched by that woman in the backyard. I went to persuade him, hoping he would reconcile with Mother, but Father scolded me harshly. Is that all? That's all, Yarrow. I slammed the armrest of the chair heavily. You still refuse to tell the truth. Yarrow was frightened by my demeanor. He pursed his lips, his body trembling slightly. Mother, please don't ask any more. Your son has his reasons. I sneered coldly. He already wants your life. What are you still hiding for him? Yaya was greatly shocked. He widened his eyes, disbelief flickering within them. Him, I nodded, having received the definitive answer. Yarrow seemed as if all his strength had been drained, and he slumped to the ground in despair. His filial affection for his father vanished completely in that instant. Yarrow lowered his head, his voice faint and despondent. I overheard my father's conversation by chance and learned about his embezzlement. I wanted him to stop, but we ended up having a conflict. I completely understand. Wei Lang wants to eliminate Yarrow to silence him. Yarrow is his own biological son. How could he bear to do it? How dare he? Thinking of the tragic state of my 4 children in the dream, the last line of defense in my heart was shattered. I understand. I closed my eyes. You should not stay in the Marquis residence for now. Go find your grandfather. He will make arrangements for you. Yes, after Yarrow left, I collapsed into the chair. I felt a bit chaotic and somewhat annoyed. Only after drinking several cups of tea in a row did my mood gradually calm down. The reason Wei Long targeted Yarrow was beyond my expectations. Embezzlement. This offense can be either minor or severe. After all, The Arnping Marquis Manor has a century-old foundation, so even if investigated, it wouldn't suffer any major damage, but it's clearly not right that Wei Lang hastily killed to silence someone just because Yea found out about his embezzlement. I just remembered something. When I smashed his study, I discovered a hidden room. The study was burned to the ground, including the secret room, but the items from the secret room are all with me. When Zhu, bring the things we found in the study's secret room, I went through them one by one. The more I read, the more shocked I became. Wei Lang's corruption was not just ordinary bribery. Wei Lang embezzled military supplies. They filled the grain carts with stones, placing only a thin layer of grain on top to pass inspections, replaced the soldiers' cold-proof cotton clothes with willow catkin garments, substitute fine weapons with scrap iron, and exchange life-saving medicinal herbs for weeds. The soldiers lacked food, clothing, medicine, and weapons, causing delays in the frontline battles. The renowned god of war, General Xiao, was utterly defeated after his supply lines were cut off. All the young men of the Xiao family died on the battlefield. In that battle, the son and daughter-in-law of the eldest princess also perished. Not a single one of the 100,000 Xiao family troops returned. When the news of the Xiao family's defeat reached the capital, it was maliciously slandered, claiming that the Xiao family had colluded with the enemy and betrayed the country, leading to their defeat. The emperor was furious, and all the members of the Xiao family were imprisoned, to be executed after autumn. The legend of the Xiao army was thus destroyed. Chapter 13. How tragic. After reading all the letters and account books, I was stunned for a long time. An army of 100,000 soldiers. Those are 100,000 living souls. They did not die by the enemy's swords. They perished in the power struggles and internal scheming of their own people. How tragic. The powerful in the capital, clad in fine silks and feasting on delicacies, complacently indulge in their extravagant lives. Not only do they plot schemes to take their lives, but they also turn around and blame the victims, leaving heroes with no place to rest their souls and burdening their families with unjust accusations. How detestable. I cannot imagine how disappointed those passionate young men must have been when they saw military rations turn into stones, cotton-padded clothes into mere rags, and medicinal herbs into weeds. I cannot even imagine how desperate these martyrs must have felt when they were starved and frozen to death. They fought desperately to defend this country. They defended the border's peace with their lives and blood. Yet those in the capital trampled on their flesh and blood, bullied their children, and tarnished their reputations. I looked at letter after letter, ledger after ledger, grief and rage intertwine, piercing the heart. No wonder Wei Lang wanted to kill Yaoer to silence him. No wonder Wei Lang is so ruthless and cruel for these countless crimes. Exterminating his entire clan would not be excessive. Wei Lang deserves to die, but a mere marquis of Arnping like Wei Lang could not have achieved this much. Wei Lang must be a pawn, the one who wields this knife. From these letters, I can roughly deduce who it is. The emperor is gravely ill and has not yet named a crown prince. The eligible princes are all coveting that position. For that position, they can treat human life as worthless and stop at nothing. The change of emperors is like the autumn wind. Once the wind rises, it can form whirlpools that devour people. Ordinary people in the struggle for power are like an ant swept into a tornado, apart from being swept up by the storm. There was no way to resist, just like me, apart from grief and indignation, apart from unwillingness. All that remained was a deep sense of powerlessness. The autumn wind rustled, and the leaves fell desolately. I gaze out the window. The yellow leaves on the ginkgo tree outside are swept up by the wind. Swirling in mid-air, reluctant to fall, they resemble lives struggling incessantly in the vortex of time. It suddenly occurred to me, the Xiao family army, fully aware that their supplies had been cut off, still defended the city and charged into battle. Not a single one retreated, not a single one deserted. Until they died heroically. What were they thinking before they died? Were they not afraid of death? I suppose, being flesh and blood, they too are afraid. However, compared to death, they are more determined to protect this country and their families. Even if they are betrayed, even if they are stabbed in the back, They still adhere to their beliefs and are willing to risk everything to defend the land they love. I am a woman. Confucian teachings have placed layer upon layer of shackles on women. I cannot go to the battlefield to kill the enemy, nor can I achieve great deeds and establish a career. I also cannot strive for dominance in this vortex of power. All I can do is try my best to break free from these shackles, protect the people I want to protect in this whirlpool, and do everything within my power. The wind is rising in the capital. It's time to bring this to an end. I went back to the Jiang family study. My father and I stared at each other. After staring for a long time, my father gave in. I lost. My father picked up his tea. I can't outstare you. Don't worry about Yaroa. I've already made all the arrangements, I said. I didn't come here for Yaroa. Father, have you decided which prince to support? My father was drinking his tea. Hearing this, I almost spat out. What did you say? I took a handkerchief to wipe him. The Emperor's health is deteriorating day by day. I have reliable information that he won't make it through this winter. My father became serious. He frowned. Wana, this is not something you can get involved in. Chapter 14. Taking sides. I support the ninth prince, I said. The ninth prince has the world at heart and is the most suitable for that position. The ninth prince saving Princess Wenyo at the Grand Princess's birthday banquet was no coincidence. I had informed the ninth prince in advance. Father, my mind is made up, and I hope you can support me. My father looked at me seriously for a long moment. Wana, what is it that you seek? He asked. I laughed. My father is truly my father. He understands me best. I want to take the children and sever ties with Wei Ilang. If we separate, I can only return to the Jiang family, but my children must remain in the Anping Marquis household. If the Anping Marquis manor is to be executed to the last man, Yaya and the others won't be able to escape either. I want to protect the 4 children, and I also want to protect their futures. My father was shocked. Then his eyes turned red. He bullied you. My father used a declarative sentence. I did not continue the conversation. The conflict between Wei Lang and me was no longer just a marital dispute. Father, do you know the truth behind the destruction of the Xiao family's army? Before my father could respond, I spoke slowly, my voice filled with sorrow. The 100,000 passionate young men did not die by the enemy's swords. They perished in the struggle for imperial power. They were killed by the third prince. They died unjustly. My father was shocked. Wana, be careful with your words. I have evidence, I said. I have proof that the destruction of the Xiao family's army was a scheme orchestrated by the third prince and Wei Lang. The emperor's time is running out, and the various princes have their own schemes. The position of crown prince remains undecided. The Xiao family won't be the only ones to fall next. It might be our Jiang family. My father fell silent. I continued. Among the eligible princes, only the third prince, the 7th prince, and the 9th prince have a chance to ascend the throne. The third prince is ruthless, selfish, and cold-hearted. If he comes to power, the people will suffer, and our Jiang family will not fare well either. The 7th prince is inherently weak-willed and indecisive, with a powerful maternal clan. If he ascends the throne, he would likely become a puppet. Our Jiang family has had numerous conflicts with his maternal clan. Should the 7th prince become emperor, the Jiang family would likely meet its end. The 9th prince is benevolent yet not soft-hearted, generous yet not cowardly. He is decisive in his methods and has the welfare of the people at heart. He is the most suitable candidate. Father, we cannot remain aloof from this. Once the emperor passes away, whether we are willing or not, we will be drawn into the vortex of power. I do not want the Jiang family to become the second Xiao family. The 9th prince is currently in a weak position and at a disadvantage. I want to do him a personal favor, so that when he ascends the throne, he can ensure the Jiang family's safety and protect me and the children from being implicated by Wei Lang. My father looked at me, unable to speak for a long time. I didn't say anything more, because I know my father loves me. I know even more that my father understands better than anyone that, whether for the Jiang family or for the people, the 9th prince is the most suitable candidate to become emperor. That very night, My father invited a few people to drink at the restaurant owned by the ninth prince. I did not sleep the entire night. I'm very tired, and my head hurts badly, yet my mind is very clear. In the dream, after my 4 children died tragically one after another, I also died from depression. I don't know what became of Wei Lang, what became of the Jiang family, or who ascended the throne. I only know that after Wei Lang and Liu Qianqian connected with the Grand Princess, their fortunes have been smooth and their status has risen accordingly. Previously, I always thought that Liu Qianqian wanted to climb up and use the Grand Princess as a backer. After discovering Wei Lang's secret, I had a new idea. The Grand Princess holds significant weight in the Emperor's heart. If Liu Qianqian manages to get close to the eldest princess, on the surface, it seems that Liu Qianqian is the one who benefits. However, after peeling back the layers, the one who ultimately benefits is the third prince. Liu Qianqian's actions at the birthday banquet might have been instructed by the third prince and Wei Lang. This conspiracy is far more terrifying than what appears on the surface. Chapter 15. What I seek. The more I thought about it, the more frightened I became, and the harder it was to fall asleep. So, I ended up pulling Wen Lan, and a few other maids to play Pai Gao all night. We stayed up all night. My eyes were bloodshot. He has become much more haggard. The next day, with dark circles under my eyes, I killed the coachman who had poisoned Feng Kai. I then ruthlessly purged the backyard, selling off many people without even asking for reasons. The Marquis of Anping's residence was in chaos. With everyone fearing for their safety, Wei Lang had been observing me from the shadows. I swiftly purged the backyard but did not confront him directly, which convinced him I hadn't traced the matter back to him. With the study burned down and evidence destroyed, Wei Lang temporarily let his guard down. I then took those pieces of evidence and secretly met with the ninth prince. The ninth prince looked at the box full of letters and account books, his expression growing increasingly grim. How dare they, a full 100,000 troops, they shed their last drop of blood for Great Qi, yet they are to be slandered as rebels. The sons of the Xiao family died on the battlefield, and now the elderly, weak, women, and children are to be executed to the last one. How dare they? The ninth prince's eyes reddened, his fingers trembling. I waited for the ninth prince to calm down. Your Highness, let's hand this evidence over to the Grand Princess. The ninth prince suddenly looked at me. I said, delays breed trouble. The son and daughter-in-law of the Grand Princess also died in that battle. I believe the Grand Princess wants to clear their names more than anyone else. The ninth prince understood what I meant. As perceptive as the Grand Princess is, she would know how to clear her son and daughter-in-law's names after obtaining this evidence. Relying on the terminally ill emperor is not an option. Once we investigate, we will alert the enemy. The third prince and his allies will be driven to desperate measures and launch a rebellion prematurely. The only solution is to persuade the emperor to draft a will, abdicate, and catch them off guard. I said, my father must have already spoken with you. I and the Jiang family fully support your highness. As for the Grand Princess, your highness need not worry. Your highness has given the evidence of the third prince's collusion with Wei Lang to the Grand Princess. Someone as intelligent as her will surely see through the conspiracy between the third prince and Wei Lang at the birthday banquet. The ninth prince stared intently at me. Madam Marquis, what do you seek in helping me so much? I chuckled lightly. Wei Lang colluded with the third prince to embezzle military supplies, delayed critical military information, and caused the defeat of the Xiao family's army. This act is equivalent to treason. His crimes are heinous. And even executing his entire family would not be excessive. But my 4 children are innocent. I don't want them to lose their future because of Wei Lang. What I seek is for your highness to act as a witness, confirming that my 4 children and I have severed ties with Wei Lang. The ninth prince's expression was inscrutable. Is that all? Even without me, lady who should be able to manage it, I said, if I fight Wei Lang to the death, I can certainly do it. But what happens after the fish dies and the net breaks? The emperor's health is failing, and he is too muddled to handle state affairs. That throne will inevitably fall into the hands of one of the princes. If it goes to the third prince, it will spell disaster for me and my children, as well as for the Jiang family. Your Highness, I said with utmost seriousness, I admit I have personal motives, but beyond that, I truly believe that you are the only one fit for that position. I am merely a woman. After uncovering the evidence and learning of the tragic and unjust deaths of the Xiao family's army, aside from grief and anger, there is nothing I can do. Your Highness is different. If you were to ascend to that position, you would be able to clear the names of these 100,000 passionate warriors. You would not let heroes shed blood and tears. I believe you are the wise ruler that millions of common people have been waiting for. You will be a good sovereign. The ninth prince looked at me. Does the Marchioness know how treasonous your words are? Chapter 16, Severing Ties. I said, I hold an official title, receive the Emperor's salary, and share the Emperor's worries. Ninth Prince is the sovereign we are loyal to. How could it be treasonous for me to have a heart-to-heart conversation with my lord? Ninth Prince's gaze was profound. He just stared at me. Although I am a woman, I still felt awkward under his gaze. To ease the awkwardness, I quietly picked up a pastry and put it in my mouth. The ninth prince probably didn't expect me to have the mood to eat during such a serious and tense private conversation, and for a moment, his expression became rather complicated. I also realized it was inappropriate and put the pastry down. Sorry, it was a habitual action. The ninth prince finally laughed out loud. Having been in the royal family for so long, I can't remember the last time I had such a straightforward conversation. Last night, the Duke of Zhengguo said something similar. The ninth prince brought over some paper. He wrote down his promise on the paper and even pressed his fingerprint on it. He left behind a jade pendant. This is my token. Please accept it, Lady Marquis. The ninth prince's sincerity took me by surprise. I solemnly accepted the jade pendant. Your Highness, this humble wife has one more request. I would like to ask Your Highness to help investigate Liu Qianqian's identity. I only know that Liu Qianqian is Wei Lang's first love, but I don't know the details about Liu Qianqian, Wei Lang, Liu Qianqian, the third prince, me, the Jiang family. I always feel that there are countless connections between us. Alright, the ninth prince said, I will get back to you as soon as possible. The ninth prince acted swiftly. Not long after we parted, he sent someone to deliver a letter. The moment I saw the letter, I felt as if struck by lightning. My mind went blank for a moment. Liu Qianqian was not originally surnamed Liu, but Fang, with the given name Qingru. Liu was her mother's surname. In the widespread imperial examination fraud case 20 years ago, the Fang family was executed to the last member, including the 12-year-old Fang Qingru. The fraud scandal of that year shocked both the court and the public. The Fang family took advantage of their official positions to select some impoverished scholars who had passed the imperial examination, secretly killed them, and then replaced their examination papers with those of wealthy and powerful students, thereby substituting one thing for another and collecting huge sums of money. General Xiao unintentionally saved a scholar who was being pursued, and after learning the truth, reported it to the emperor. The emperor was furious and ordered my father to thoroughly investigate the matter. With irrefutable evidence, the Fang family confessed without denial. That case concluded with the execution of the entire Fang family. But what audacity does the mere Fang family have to meddle in the imperial examinations? The Fang family is likely just a pawn. The true mastermind behind meddling in the imperial examinations and murdering impoverished scholars to replace them is someone else. If the Fang family confessed without hesitation, they probably made some kind of deal with the mastermind, for example, to keep Liu Qianqian alive. Although the Fang family has fallen, for the past 20 years, they have been scheming every single moment. Under their schemes, the Xiao family was destroyed, and 100,000 troops died unjustly. After eliminating the Xiao family, the next target is the Jiang family. In my dream, the tragic deaths of me and my 4 children were just the beginning of the tragedy. Excellent. What a clever scheme. I read that letter over and over again. Finally, it all went up in flames. Before, I had racked my brains to find an excuse to cut ties. And now, an excuse has conveniently presented itself. I'm not one to hesitate. Immediately, I went to see Wei Lang. I already know Liu Qianqian's true identity. With the first sentence of our meeting, I left Wei Lang speechless. Wei Lang froze in place. His eyes widened, his face turned pale, and his entire body trembled. Looking at him, I want to laugh. This man is really so funny. What foolishness did I commit to have treated him with respect for 17 years, and even had 4 children with him? Fortunately, my 4 children do not take after him. That is the one silver lining in this misfortune. Sign this severance document, and we will cut all ties, I said. Chapter 17, The Assassin's Identity. What if I refuse to sign? Wei Lang dropped all pretense. What can you possibly do to me? I stared at Wei Lang's hideous, repulsive face. If you don't sign, I'll expose Liu Qianqian's true identity. Wei Lang gritted his teeth. Jiang Wn, how dare you threaten me? I smiled. If you think it's a threat, then it's a threat, Wei Lang. If I were kept in the dark, you could still live in your fool's paradise and enjoy your double life. But I already know your duplicity, your filth and depravity. The sight of you disgusts me. Rather than mutually despising each other, it would be better to sever our ties. My child will stay with me, while you and your beloved Qianqian can live happily ever after. Everyone gets what they want. If you insist on refusing, then it will be a fight to the death between us.
Hello?
If people were to learn that Liu Qianqian is actually Fang Qingru, the daughter of the criminal official who should have been executed long ago, do you think you could protect her? Wei Lang stared at me with a sinister aura. I sneered mockingly. You destroy one part of me, I'll return tenfold. Care to test it? Wei Lang had witnessed my ruthless retaliation before and knew that if pushed to the brink, I would not hesitate to fight to the death. He was also aware that the emperor was nearing his end. The third prince has been strategizing for so many years. With everything now in place, ascending the throne is only a matter of time. He has endured for 20 years and no longer needs to hold back. I promise you, Wei Lang said. Jiang Wn, I warn you, if Qianqian's identity is exposed, both you and your Jiang family will meet a gruesome end with no place to be buried. I sneered, don't worry. I have no interest in you 2 lovebirds. May you live happily together for 100 years, preferably locked in place forever. I took the severance letter and moved away with the children that very night. The second day after severing ties, Wei Lang couldn't wait to make Liu Qianqian his official wife. The wedding procession was grand and spectacular, apart from Yaoa, who knew I had been secretly planning to sever family ties. The other 3 children felt I had been wronged and were outraged on my behalf, clamoring to disrupt their wedding. I have severed ties with Wei Lang. From now on, we are strangers, just a stranger. No need to pay any attention. The children had tears in their eyes. Thinking I was just putting on a brave face. Don't cry, this is a good thing. Yaoa gave each of the 3 little ones a flick on the forehead. We should congratulate Mother for escaping her misery. I nodded. Exactly. Congratulations to you too. On such a joyous day, we should celebrate properly. When Lan served the dishes were extremely sumptuous. The children's attention was quickly captured, and no one mentioned Wei Lang again. Autumn deepens, and the wind grows stronger. Faintly, there is already a sense of winter. I am afraid of the cold. Once the weather turns cold, I hide inside the house, either playing cards with the maids or brewing tea by the stove. All the turbulence and unrest in the outside world seem to have nothing to do with me. Yet they are all under my control. For no other reason, the 9th prince sends someone to deliver letters every day. One day, as usual, I received a letter from the 9th prince. This time, the letter was different from the previous ones. It only contained an address. I went to that address as arranged. I went up to the 3rd floor and saw the 9th prince pacing in the private room. The 9th prince saw me, and his furrowed brow relaxed. Lady Jiang, I want you to meet someone. He clapped his hands. Come out. A person emerged from the inner room. After clearly seeing that person's face, I was utterly shocked. You are that assassin. The very one who broke into Veron's residence, disturbed the illicit lovers, stabbed Liu Qianqian, and was caught by the divine martial guards. Correct. Having spent a long time with me, the 9th prince had grown to trust me greatly and spoke much more casually than before. When I was investigating Veron, I found him. You would never guess his true identity. Chapter 18, Xiao Qilang. I carefully observed the assassin for a moment. Unfamiliar face, Never seen him before, I truly cannot guess. I said, take off the mask, the ninth prince said. The assassin turned his back. When he turned around, I saw a familiar face. Xiao Qilang, I exclaimed. The seventh son of the Xiao family, Xiao Qihan and Yarrow were like fire and water. The two often competed in archery and martial arts, with neither willing to admit defeat. Every time Yarrow loses, he gets so angry that he can't eat. Whenever Xiao Qilang is mentioned, Yarrow bristles like a cat whose tail has been stepped on. However, upon learning that Xiao Qihan had died in battle, Yarrow shut himself away for 3 days and 3 nights. Aunt, it's me, Xiao Qilang said with a sorrowful expression. I managed to survive. My tears welled up instantly. I covered my face. My voice choked with sobs. What do you mean by barely surviving? You survived with honor and integrity. The villains who harmed you are the ones barely surviving. They're the ones who deserve to die. Xiao Qilang immediately broke down in uncontrollable sobs. Qilang, how did you survive? And how did you become an assassin? I asked. The ninth prince said. Xiao Qilang was severely wounded on the battlefield. Fortunately, the dragon scale armor protected his vital parts, and he happened to fall into the river and was swept away by the current, which is how he managed to survive. When he struggled back to the capital, he received the news that the Xiao family had been accused of treason and executed to the last member. He could no longer show his face as Xiao Qilang and had to change his appearance. He wanted to gather evidence and sound the grievance drum to clear the Xiao family's name, while sneaking into the third prince's Liwang mansion to collect evidence. He was mistaken for an assassin by the patrolling Shunwu guards and pursued. He could have escaped, but because he spotted Wei Lang, he risked following him into that mansion. Hearing this, I completely understood. In the dream, I didn't go to catch the illicit lovers, and Xiao Qilang never appeared, most likely. He had been eliminated by Wei Lang. My intervention, which led Xiao Qilang falling into the hands of the Shunwu guard, actually ended up saving his life by chance. We have found the evidence, I said to Xiao Qilang. Xiao Qilang had clearly already learned about it from the ninth prince and showed no surprise, only expressing his sincere gratitude to me. Are you the only one who survived? I asked. Xiao Qilang's expression was somber, recalling the brutality of that battle. He still trembles all over to this day. Besides me, there are 2 others, the son and daughter-in-law of the Grand Princess. The Prince and Princess of Linyang are also still alive. The Prince of Linyang broke a leg and is unable to move freely. He is being cared for by his consort and recuperating in a safe place. I was somewhat surprised. Both the son and daughter-in-law of the Grand Princess died in that battle. Their remains have already been buried and were personally identified by the Grand Princess. How could there be any mistake? Xiao Qilang said. In the final battle, everyone knew they were going to die, yet they still defended the city to the end. My grandfather, in order to preserve the bloodline of the Grand Princess, ordered the heir and his wife to leave first. The heir refused, so my grandfather knocked them unconscious and hid them among the refugees. The deputy general by my grandfather's side and the deputy general of the heir's wife exchanged clothes with them and went to their deaths in their place. To avoid being discovered, they deliberately disfigured their own faces. When they died, their faces were beyond recognition, and no one could tell what they originally looked like. I was speechless for a long time. Even from Xiao Qilang's few words, one could sense the breathtaking intensity of that battle. The son and daughter-in-law of the Grand Princess are still alive. This is good news. It is good news that can settle the matter once and for all. Does my father know? I asked. The ninth prince shook his head. We haven't had the chance to inform the Duke of Zhenghua yet. It's time, I said, strike unexpectedly. With one swift and determined effort, tonight, the third prince must die. The ninth prince nodded solemnly. When I stepped outside, dark clouds loomed overhead. The sky is overcast and gloomy, symbolizing the unusual nature of today. Chapter 19, Those Who Achieve Great Things, Returning Home. I called Yarrow into the room alone. Yarrow, let me ask you, if Xiao Qilang were still alive, is there anything you would want to say to him? Ye's eyes instantly dimmed. His face was filled with sorrow. I have nothing to say to him, I asked. Then is there anything you want to do with him? Yarrow said. I want to compete with him again in horse riding and archery. I definitely won't lose to him this time. If possible, I'd also like to fight alongside him. I handed Yarrow a piece of paper. Go ahead. He's waiting for you at this address. Yarrow was first stunned, then greatly shocked, then ecstatic. Mother, Chilong is still alive, Yarrow almost shouted. I nodded and took out a set of dragon scale armor. The dragon scale armor I gave you for your 15th birthday, which you then gifted to Xiao Chilong, saved his life. This set is for you to wear. I hope both of you can stay safe. Jiang Mingyao, go and fight alongside your closest friend. Yes. After cutting ties with Wei Ilang, all my children changed their surname to Jiang. Yarrow's eyes instantly reddened. He knelt down and kowtowed heavily several times. Mother, I will not disappoint your expectations. My child has gone. Yarrow rode off on his Fergana horse, carrying his bow and arrows, and disappeared around the street corner. My tears could no longer be held back. Tonight is destined to be a blood-soaked night. Even though I am filled with reluctance, I cannot stand in the way. My Yarrow has his own battlefield to fight on. The dark clouds grew heavier and heavier. It was only afternoon, yet the sky had already darkened. I ordered Wen Zhu to bring the meditation cushion. I do not believe in Buddha, nor do I believe in gods. At this moment, however, I wish to seek the protection of all deities. The night drew closer. The capital city is growing increasingly quiet. It's so quiet that it feels eerie, and the eeriness makes one uneasy. Xiao Xiao came to my side and gently nestled into my arms, saying, Mom, are you scared? I asked. I'm not afraid. Xiao Xiao pointed behind her. Big brother will protect us. I looked at the two half-grown boys fully armed behind Xiao Xiao and nodded. You came just in time. Come pray with me. Many hands make light work. I won't. If gods and Buddhas were useful, Mother wouldn't have suffered. The second son Jiang Mingjue was at that rebellious age, his words carrying an air of who else but me arrogance. I smacked him on the back. What nonsense are you talking? You brat. Those who aim to achieve great things must explore multiple paths. I not only worship the Buddha, but also the Bodhisattvas, the god of wealth, the kitchen god, the old man under the moon, Guan Yu, and all the heavenly deities and Buddhas. They are all part of my network. At least one of them is bound to be effective. Jinga and Xiao Xiao were still young and trusted my words completely. They knelt on either side of me, praying to the Bodhisattvas one moment and the god of wealth the next. Their devotion was truly sincere. Jiang Mingjue was stunned by our actions. He stared at us for a long moment, then blushed and knelt down, kowtowing with loud thuds. I heard my rebellious youth whisper a prayer. All the gods and Buddhas, can you hear my voice? I'm willing to trade everything I have for my big brother's safe return. Night fell. The hour of high has passed. The Qianquan bell in the imperial city began to ring. One chime, two chimes. The Qianquan bell, resounding throughout the entire capital, tolled a full 9 times. 9 chimes, signifying the birth of the supreme sovereign, the third prince, who had been drunkenly indulging among a bevy of beauties, sobered up instantly upon hearing the bells. His face turned pale, and he kicked a beauty away. Before he could even finish dressing, the sounds of fighting erupted in the courtyard. Third prince, something terrible has happened. The imperial guards have surrounded the Prince of Li's residence. The messenger was killed with a single sword strike, blood splattering all over the window. Chapter 20, The Blood-Stained Night. The third prince was horrified. He had no time to prepare before the doors and windows were kicked open. Dozens of imperial guards stormed into the bedchamber. They raised their blades and struck, cutting down one after another without mercy. The women were terrified, fleeing in all directions without even bothering to put on their clothes. In the blink of an eye, the bedchamber was awash with blood and littered with corpses. The trusted aides protected the third prince as they retreated step by step. Your Highness, the main gate has been breached, and the Prince of Li's residence is surrounded. One of the aides wiped the blood from his face. We have no choice but to abandon this place and escape through the secret passage. The third prince's face was dark. He never expected the ninth prince to launch a sudden attack at such a time. He was caught completely off guard. If he didn't cut his losses to survive, he would only be killed. Only by escaping from here would he have a chance to turn the tables. The third prince led his trusted followers toward the secret passage. The Imperial Guards were in hot pursuit. By the time the third prince successfully entered the secret passage, only 3 to 5 of his dozens of trusted followers remained. After arriving at a safe location, the third prince urgently released the signal to raise troops. The signal exploded in the air, echoing throughout the entire capital. Not long after, the sound of war drums echoes throughout the capital and beyond. The clash of battle shifts from near to far, with the clashing of swords, the trample of hooves, rising and falling in waves. The scent of blood hangs in the air. The streets and alleys of the capital are littered with corpses. Even hiding deep within the courtyard, we could still hear the hissing sound of swords piercing flesh. The people outside had already been driven to a killing frenzy. Xiao Xiao held me tightly, her small body trembling uncontrollably. "Don't be afraid," I said, stroking her head. "It will be over soon." Zhuya and Jinga, 2 half-grown youths, also gripped their swords tightly, their bodies tense. I didn't know how to comfort them. My father, my brothers, my Yaoer, they were all fighting, all in the thick of battle. What they are about to face is the glint of blades and swords, the might of thousands of troops, rivers of blood, and fields littered with corpses. A single misstep could mean an eternal separation between heaven and earth. If anything were to happen to any one of them, the pain would be unbearable for me. "It will end," I said, pulling Zhuya and Jinga closer to me. "We have prayed together to all the gods and Buddhas. Surely one of them will hear our prayers." The children are very strong. Even though they were terrified, they didn't cry. They held me, and I held them. The sounds of fighting lasted all night. It wasn't until the sky began to lighten that everything finally quieted down outside. "Madam, it seems to be over," when Lan said, "This servant will go out to investigate." "No need, it's too dangerous to go out now. Let's wait a little longer," I said. "Someone will come to bring us news," when Lan said with a resolute expression, "Madam, I have the ability to protect myself. The sooner we know the news, the sooner we can make plans. Madam, you cannot persuade me." After saying this, when Lan left without looking back, after she left, when Zhu locked the door several times with reddened eyes, I understand when Lan's plan. If the ninth prince succeeds, then everyone will be happy. If the ninth prince fails, we must take advantage of the chaos to escape. The sky was fully bright. The sky remained gloomy and overcast. The thick clouds, like a fallen world, were dark and oppressive, making it hard to breathe. The children and I clasped our hands together, sat upright, and prayed that whichever deity happened to be free would hear our pleas. Praying to gods and Buddhas seems to have become the only thing we can do now. I don't know how much time has passed. There was a knock at the door, when Zhu shuddered. And the children and I also felt a chill in our hearts. "Who is it?" When Zhu grabbed an axe and hid behind the door. "It's me." When Lan's voice came from outside, "I'm back. Open the door quickly." Tears welled up in Wenju's eyes. She put down the axe and went to open the door. "Wait," I said, when Lan's voice doesn't sound right. Chapter 21. Taken hostage. Wenju was taken aback. In her nervousness, she didn't think much about it. After I reminded her, she also noticed it. When Lan appears calm and steady, but in reality, she is an impatient person who can't keep things to herself. If the person outside the door is truly when Lan would directly say whether the ninth prince has won or lost. Even if she hasn't obtained any information, when Lan would still report truthfully. In any case, when Lan would never say something like "I'm back." Open the door quickly. When Zhu's face turned deathly pale, her body trembling slightly. "Madam, you all go first. This servant will hold them off. They are coming for me," I said. I hid the children well. The children looked terrified. "Mother," I looked at Zhuya, Jiang Mingjue. "Can you promise Mother that you will protect your younger siblings well?" The young man was called upon, and his body trembled. He was very afraid, but also very brave. "Yes," he said through gritted teeth. "I'm entrusting your younger siblings to you," I said, patting Zhuya's shoulder heavily. "No matter what happens, do not come out. Do not hold your mother back. Only if you hide well can I have no worries. Understand? Zhuo's eyes were red. He restrained his emotions and took Jinga and Xiao Xiao to hide. After settling the 3 children, when Zhu opened the door, outside the door, when Lan was tied up with a large wad of cotton stuffed in her mouth, she was severely injured, unable to even make a sound, and even her breathing was labored. The person knocking on the door was indeed not Wen Lan. I looked at the men who were holding Wen Lan. They all looked very disheveled. They were covered in blood, their hair and clothes were messy, and their original appearance was unrecognizable. But I have been married to Wei Lang for 17 years. I would recognize him even if he turned to ashes. Recognizing Wei Lang, it wasn't hard to guess the identities of the others. The charming woman standing next to Wei Lang is Liu Qianqian. The man surrounded in the center is the 3rd prince. The 2 standing behind are likely the 3rd prince's guards. Jiang Wn, Wei Lang, upon seeing me, looked fiercely at me. So you really are here? I stared coldly at Wei Lang. Release Wen Lan, and I will be your hostage. Wei Lang snarled. Do you think you still have any room to negotiate? I sneered, pressing the knife against my neck. If you don't do as I say, I'll slit my throat right now. Wei Lang wished he could cut me into 1,000 pieces. How dare you threaten us at a time like this? I couldn't be bothered to pay attention to Wei Lang. I am your last chance. If I die, you will die with me. 3rd prince. You are a smart man. You should know the reason why I have nothing to fear. The 3rd prince's face turned ashen. He truly had no way out. A maid was of no use to him. Change, as the 2 guards threw Wen Lan over, they seized me. When Zhu also wanted to follow. When Zhu, I stopped her sharply. Help Wen Lan treat her wounds and wait for my return. When Zhu's eyes were filled with tears, she nodded heavily. We'll wait for you to come home. I was taken to the city gate by the 3rd prince and Wei Lang. Above the city gate, Yaroa and Xiao Qilang stood high on the city wall. The capital has 8 main gates. Yaroa and Xiao Qilang were responsible for guarding the southeast gate. Wei Lang and the 3rd prince deliberately brought me to the southeast gate, clearly intending to use me as leverage against Yaroa. Wei Lang was certain that Yaroa would not let me die. Xiao Qihan, Wei Mingyao. If you are willing to obediently open the city gates, I will release Jiang Wn, the 3rd prince said, pressing the knife against my throat. If you do not open the gates, I will have Jiang Wn buried with me. I looked up at the 2 young men on the city wall. Beneath the dark clouds, 2 young men stood tall and graceful, majestic, and dazzling like stars. Excellent. They were alive. They were alive and completely unharmed. Chapter 22, Bright Radiance. Yea, seeing me being held hostage, turned deathly pale. Xiao Qilang's face was also extremely grim. Wei Lang shouted loudly. Wei Mingyao, your father and mother are both here. If you have any filial piety left in you, open the city gate and let us go. If you don't open the city gate, I will perish together with your mother. Yaroa is still a young man, and my appearance has disrupted his rhythm. Xiao Qilang was clearly also caught in a dilemma. I said, Qilang, if on the battlefield, the enemy takes your family hostage to threaten you, what should you do? Xiao Qilang hesitated to speak. Tell me loudly, I said. Xiao Qilang glanced at Yaroa, closed his eyes, and shouted loudly, attack as usual. I nodded with satisfaction. Yaroa, do you remember our conversation before you left home? You said you want to compete with Xiao Qilang in horse riding and archery. Come on, both of you, aim at me. Both the 3rd prince and Wei Lang thought I had gone mad. Wei Lang gritted his teeth and said, Wei Mingyao, if you kill your mother and father, you will be condemned for eternity, and heaven will not tolerate it. I said sharply, Wei Lang, stop being disgusting. Ye doesn't bear the surname Wei. His surname is Jiang. Don't even think about trying to manipulate Yaroa with that little bit of family affection. My Yaroa would never be threatened by a sewer rat like you. My Yaroa, he is Ming Yao, destined to shine so brightly that even the sun, moon, and stars cannot outshine his radiance. He shines his own light and does what needs to be done, and will never be influenced by a shady character like you. Yaroa, I said to Yaroa, remember, you don't have to be constrained by so-called family bonds. You are who you are. As long as you have no morals, No one can hold you hostage. Upon hearing my words, the dim light in Yaro's eyes instantly brightened. He exchanged a glance with Xiao Qilang. They raised their bows together, aiming at me. Madman, unfilial son, you've gone mad. Wei Lang was furious. If you dare to kill your mother and father, whoosh. Wei Lang had not finished speaking. A cold arrow accurately pierced through Wei Lang's thigh. Wei Lang, caught off guard by the arrow, fell to the ground, blood spurted out, and Wei Lang covered the wound, his eyes wide with fury. Mother is right. As long as I have no morals, no one can hold me hostage, Yaro said coldly. I won't kill you, but I can watch you be killed. If the timing weren't so inappropriate, I would really want to applaud Yaroa. Well done, Yaroa, truly worthy of being my son. These words are exactly what I wanted to hear. Seventh brother, I'll let you have this first shot. But don't expect any more favors from me. Yaroa's eyes sparkled with confidence. Xiao Qilang scoffed disdainfully. As if you've ever beaten me before, Yaroa lifted his chin proudly. This time, I won't lose. His arrow was aimed directly at me, to be precise. It was aimed at the third prince who was holding me hostage. The third prince had a sinister look on his face. He probably knew that threatening me was useless, so he intended to kill me. Yaroa and Xiao Qilang didn't give him the chance. Countless arrows rained down. Each arrow was more fierce than the last. The third prince was too busy protecting himself. Two guards, in order to cover the third prince, voluntarily acted as shields to block the arrow rain. The third prince caught his breath and finally had the chance to kill me. The cold blade slid across my neck, and warm blood gushed out. Just one more inch, and the blade would have severed my throat. Death was closing in. Strangely, I didn't feel afraid at all. I even thought to myself, if the King of Hell demands my life at the third watch, what if I show up at the seventh? Would that earn me some special treatment? Before this thought could fully form, Yaroa's arrow struck the third prince's wrist. The knife clattered to the ground. I took the opportunity to break free from the third prince's control. Before I could catch my breath, Liu Qianqian, who was nearby, seized the chance and took me hostage once again. Me, this pampered, delicate body of mine that can't even tie a chicken down. Liu Qianqian's face was full of hatred. Jiang Wn, bitch, you've finally fallen into my hands. Chapter 23, Widowed. Liu Qianqian's hair was disheveled, her clothes were tattered, and her face was dirty, her expression shattered. Extremely ugly. I hate ugly people and couldn't be bothered to look at her, turning my face away contemptuously. Liu Qianqian was infuriated by my attitude. She was hysterical like a madwoman. Jiang Wn, it's you. It's you again. You caused my family to be torn apart. You stole my Wei Lang. You forced Wei Lang and me to be separated for 17 years. I finally became Wei Lang's wife. I finally won against you. And now you're here to ruin my happiness again. You deserve to die. You deserve to die 1,000 deaths. I was speechless. Are you out of your mind? Your family was destroyed because your father committed a major crime. It's what you deserved. What does that have to do with me? Wei Lang begged me for 3 years to marry him. He was the one who pleaded for my hand. Instead of blaming him for his fickleness, you blame me for ruining your marriage. Clearly, you were the ones who kidnapped me. And now you blame me for ruining your plans. What kind of bandit logic is this? Liu Qianqian seemed to have been struck where it hurt. That gentle, delicate face was now twisted with ferocity. Jiang Wn, I may have lost, but even in death, I will drag you down with me. I won't be at a loss. Come die with me. I look at the frantic Liu Qianqian, a hint of mockery flashing in my eyes. I'm truly sorry, although I have lived a life of luxury and am physically weak, in my eyes. You are not even as good as a chicken. At most, you're nothing but a bug, as a normal person. Crushing a bug is as easy as pie for me. When I made a move to kill Liu Qianqian, she didn't even have time to react. By the time she stopped breathing, I was already wiping my hands with a look of disgust. What a pity for these well-maintained hands of mine. Still, they ended up getting dirty for these filthy things. Liu Qianqian and the guards were killed. The third prince and Wei Lang were captured alive. The dust has settled. Yaroa quickly ran down from the city wall. His eyes were red, and he knelt before me with a thud. Mother, I casually threw the blood-stained handkerchief onto Liu Qianqian and smiled gently. I've been counting for you. This time, it's a tie between you and seventh brother. I said this. The thick cloud split open. Sunlight shone through the gap. The oppressive cloud layer slowly dispersed. The weather is clear and pleasant, both inside and out, making it a rare and beautiful day. The brief period of turmoil was restored to calm overnight. The emperor, gravely ill, abdicated the throne, and the ninth prince ascended as the new emperor, taking the reign title Wenjia. The third prince's crimes are too numerous to record, and he has been expelled from the imperial family and sentenced to immediate execution. Wei Lang embezzled military supplies, leading to the destruction of the Xiao family's army, and falsely accused the Xiao family of treason. His crimes were heinous, and his entire family was executed. The Xiao family's grievances were cleared, and the old General Xiao was posthumously honored with the title of Duke of Hugua, granted a first-class hereditary Marquis title, and awarded the Iron Certificate of Merit. Xiao Qilang was appointed as a first-class ever victorious general. Additionally, a hero's mausoleum was established, where the souls of 100,000 heroes were laid to rest, receiving worship from the people. Before Wei Lang's execution, he requested to see me. I went to see him. Wei Lang wept bitterly, recalling the sweet moments we once shared, trying to rekindle our past affection. I listened quietly as he finished speaking. Wei Lang, the moment you laid a hand on Yaroa, you were already a dead man. Wei Lang was stunned. You actually know. I looked at him mockingly. Not only do I know that you harmed Yaroa, I also know that you and Liu Qianqian are planning to get rid of all my children. You want to see my family destroyed and me in unbearable pain, all because my father presided over the Fang family's case back then, and you've directed your hatred toward our Jiang family. How ridiculous. Oh, the things in the secret room of your study, I gave them to the ninth prince. Your death was entirely orchestrated by me. Wei Lang had completely lost his mind. He wanted to kill me. The chains bound him, covered in severe injuries. He couldn't move and could only crawl on the ground like a dog. I looked down at him from above. I told you, in my world, there is only widowhood. See, I've done it. I turned and left, leaving Wei Lang to bark ineffectually. Chapter 24, The Bright Pearl. After Wei Lang was executed, my life gradually returned to peace. Before cutting ties with Wei Lang, I used Fengqi's death to clean up the backyard and sold off many people. Those who were sold are basically loyal to me. They are temporarily placed in the brokerage. After Wei Lang was sentenced to execution of his entire family, those fawning and double-dealing servants of the Anping Marquis estate also met the same fate. Those who were sold have nothing to do with the Anping Marquis anymore and were not affected, including Miss Xiangning. Wei Lang took Xiangning as a concubine to protect Liu Qianqian, but he never touched her. He said it was because she was dirty. How ridiculous, a rotten cucumber has the nerve to call others dirty. After Liu Qianqian became the lady of Anping Marquis, she could not tolerate Xiangning and found an excuse to sell her off. While I was redeeming someone, I conveniently redeemed Xiangning as well. Xiangning is beautiful and excels at playing the qin, singing, and dancing. I made a great deal. After settling everyone in, my courtyard regained its former liveliness. Every day, I eat, drink, and have fun, with money, leisure, and a powerful backer. Life couldn't be better. What a pity. The peaceful days had only just returned when my mother began to subtly ask if I wanted to remarry. I refused my mother. My mother didn't give up and enlisted my sister-in-law to persuade me. When she saw that my sister-in-law couldn't convince me, she mobilized the 4 children. After the 4 children clearly expressed their respect for my opinion, my father finally swallowed his pride and pleaded before Emperor Wenjia. Emperor Wenjia was moved by my father's tearful and snot-filled lamentations. He specially summoned me, Lady Jiang. There are many fine men in this world. If you take a liking to any of them, I can arrange a marriage for you. My head is spinning. Your Majesty, I am at an age where I could soon be a grandmother. I long ago gave up any thoughts of remarrying. Emperor Wenjia laughed and said, Lady Jiang, with your striking beauty, you look no older than 20. How could you spend your life alone? Just tell me which man has caught your eye, and I will surely satisfy your wish. I know that if I don't pull out the big guns, this matter won't come to an end. I looked at Emperor Wonjia seriously. Ordinary people cannot look directly at the Emperor's face, but I am no ordinary person. When Emperor Wonjia was still the 9th prince, he and I had already become friends. I can look directly at him, and I can refer to myself as I in his presence. Emperor Wonjia was a bit unnerved by my stare. I think your majesty is quite good. I wonder if there is any man in the world better than your majesty, I said softly. If not, Emperor Wonjia was shocked by me. He waved his hand, refusing 3 times. I cannot. I have deep affection for the Empress. I cannot do this. My eyes curved into a smile. Your Majesty, I haven't finished speaking. If there is no man better than your Majesty, I will not remarry. I know you mean well for me. In this world, a woman's only path is to marry into a good family, to regard her husband as her heaven, her children as her heaven, and to serve her husband and raise her children. I've lived most of my life like that, and it was only with great difficulty that I broke free from those shackles. Now I have wealth, leisure, filial children, and even your majesty as my support. Why would I give up such a carefree life to bring suffering upon myself? For the second half of my life, I want to live differently. There are still many things I want to do. For example, I want to establish charitable homes to take in homeless orphans, abandoned girls, and so on. Anyway, marriage isn't my only path. Emperor Wonjia witnessed my determination. He stopped arranging marriages for me. Instead, he bestowed upon me a golden token. With this gold medal, I can do whatever I want. When I was making the charity hall thrive, Emperor Wonjia also bestowed upon me the title of first-rank Lady of Honor. With the title Bright Pearl, I have a bright pearl, long imprisoned by worldly toil. Today, the dust is cleared and its light shines forth, illuminating 10,000 mountains and rivers. I like the title Lady Mingzhu. In the days to come, I am no one's wife, nor do I belong to anyone. I am who I am. I am a pearl polished from dust, radiating a unique brilliance. The end.
I don't have COVID.
The Rona?